Hey everyone, what is going on? I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and today I wanted to do a Mercury retrograde roundup to take a moment and reflect on the past few weeks because as I was growing up, my brothers and my father would always watch sports highlights from different sport networks. And I swear I would listen to the same thing multiple times a day, especially on like weekends. And I would think to myself, why are we watching the same thing just from a different channel? And they'd always say, well, this broadcaster or this reviewer is having it from this standpoint. I want to see if they thought the same goals or assists had the same importance. And then they would go on and record overarching statistics for certain players and certain teams. And I was like, that's actually a really good idea to do from a planet perspective and a transit perspective and a retrograde perspective. Because if we can take time to recap what we experienced, how we felt, so that we can celebrate how far we've grown and acknowledge things that maybe caused us to stumble or where we can learn from the next time we go through a transit like this. Given that Mercury retrogrades happen 3 to 4 times a year, we're better equipped, we're more prepared to enter into that arena, so to speak, of our lives and have Mercury be a strong source of power instead of detriment. Because remember, we do not fear retrogrades here at Stillwater Alchemy. We use them to our benefit. So, to recap general things around this Mercury retrograde. So, it was retrograde between April 1st to April 25th in the sign of Aries. Now, we also had the eclipses happening in and around this time between the signs of Aries and Libra. So, that Aries ruled part of your natal chart was very much affected by this retrograde, especially around that like 7th, 8th, 9th of April period, because that's when we were experiencing the full effects of the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. Now, while you're also recapping those weeks, I want you to also pay attention to the Virgo and Gemini ruled parts of your natal chart because Virgo and Gemini are both ruled by the sign of Mercury. So the house that's ruled by Aries, by Virgo, and by Gemini all would have been affected. And those Virgo and Gemini houses are always going to be affected with any Mercury transit and Mercury retrograde for everyone. And it doesn't matter if you have planets in Virgo or Gemini, those house topics are always going to be activated. So, for example, I have Aries ruling the fourth house. And I moved out of my penthouse in Vancouver. I was in a sublet for a couple weeks, and then I moved from Vancouver to Toronto days after the eclipse, which was very symbolic and very, I'll say, loud and obvious how these transits can often manifest. I also, within those 4 weeks or 3.5 weeks of Mercury retrograde, I booked a trip to Los Angeles. And I booked the flight, everything was easy. And then I got an email notification from the airline 22 hours later saying, oh, here's a promo code to save X percentage off. And in my head, I thought, I just booked these flights. I wish I had that promo code yesterday. But then you can cancel your flight on this airline within the first 24 hours and get a full refund. But I have never canceled a flight in my life, ever. When I book a flight, I take it, I return, it's good to go. So in my mind, I thought, ugh, I'm going to have to call the airline, be on hold. This is such a Mercury retrograde thing. Like, I'm not immune to frustration, especially being an Aries moon. But then I reread the email and it said, you can just cancel on the app, cancel online. You'll get a full refund. And I thought, oh, I've never done this before. But as an extra way of Mercury blessing me, I can just cancel and rebook the exact same flight with the exact same times. And it all happened within 5 minutes. So now I know moving forward, if I ever need to cancel a flight during a retrograde or not, I have 24 hours to cancel, get a full refund. And some of you might laugh or think that's very obvious, but I've just never had that experience before. And now I know. And I also saved $100, more than $100 on the exact same flight. So blessings to Mercury, which is also has to do with commerce, specifically in my ninth house of international travel. Now, I also had some difficulties getting my Wi-Fi set up, and that caused delays in me working and being of service, which is my sixth house, ruled by Gemini, also ruled by Mercury. And it was to a point where I was emailing and calling all these people every day. And I went in person, which I finally landed in Toronto to get this all figured out. I was there for over 2 hours. And they basically just told me what the other service agents told me. So I had to fully let go. And I was like, there really is nothing else I can do. And what happened was once I went to the common area of where I live and just used the data, because I can't get data in this, it's like a cement block. I was just done for the day. I'm like, I don't need to go on my phone. There's no need for me to do anything because I physically can't. And it all got worked out. I ended up calling a few days later. They figured it out. The service agent connected me with someone to install it, and it all worked. And realistically, it wasn't that long. It was just me in my mind thinking that I wanted to get it done before I moved and got on the ground in Toronto, that I needed to get this done in order to work. I needed to get this done to be proficient, none of which was true. And again, with any retrograde, but especially with a Mercury retrograde, it gives you license, it gives you permission to slow down, especially if you are a Virgo or Gemini rising. If you're a Virgo or Gemini rising, Mercury is your chart ruler. So it's extra opportunity to reframe your mind, to have certain conversations, to strengthen your voice. And that's what retrogrades truly get to be. It's more of an inward reflection of what needs to change so you can better utilize that planet moving forward. And throughout Mercury retrograde, I also posted a Mercury retrograde challenge every single day for 25 days straight. And if there were certain challenges that you saw that you thought, oh, I wish I could do that, I maybe just don't have time or it's not a priority today, that we're still in this post retrograde shadow until May 13th, the next 2 weeks. So Mercury is still regaining its speed, but it's not at full power, so to speak. So this is also another opportunity that you get to wrap up loose ends, that there are things that you put off that you can go do them now. Maybe if some of you haven't done your taxes, this is the time to do so. If you've been meaning to send emails and applications, the time to do so. If you've been meaning to reconnect with friends, now is the time to do so, where you can have these energies and these domains of Mercury be fully activated while still being mindful that you can slow down, focus on your mental health, your mental well-being, and any other area that's being activated in your specific natal chart. Remember, the houses that are ruled by Aries, Virgo, and Gemini are all the ones to primary look at. All right. So, as we mentioned earlier, having this time to reflect, having this time to give gratitude, having this time to celebrate your victories will only naturally expand your life, your knowledge of astrology. So thus, when we get to the next Mercury retrograde in August during Leo season, you have so many things to look forward to that even if things are slow or slower than you want during a Mercury retrograde, it's giving you opportunities to learn more, to grow deeper with Mercury, and all else just to slow down and to enjoy the ride fuller. So if you feel called to share any Mercury retrograde anecdotes, stories, breakthroughs, I would love to hear them. Otherwise, I'm wishing you a fabulous start to May and all the other transits that are coming. I'll be making more content to share my extreme enthusiasm around May. And if you want a sneak peek of what May's transits are going to hold, you can also purchase the 2024 astrology guide using the promo code Taurus Season, TAURUSSZN. I'll put that all in the description for an additional 20% off. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.